Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Hope you're enjoying the cart game so far. I have the lovely pleasure of interviewing another team that's joining us. Here we have Citrusine and KA. Together they form Vitamin CK. How are you guys doing?
Well, hello.
Okay.
I'm
Hi.
doing great.
You nervous at all, or?
See, we had a thing for this. I remember that.
I don't remember
And
what
then I
the thing
completely
is.
forgot.
Nervous? No, I mean, it's our third time entering, and we've had a lot of fun with it. So, you know, at this point, like, we're just ready to roll with it.
Plus, I think the new format allows for us to not stress as much because we're not competing 1v1 per se. We're just sort of doing our best instead.
Yeah, it's not as intense as like elimination or whatnot. So I feel you on that. I'm guessing with the team name, pretty safe to assume Vitamin CK just comes from both of your names combined, or the first letters.
And I also take credit for the vitamin because, like, my whole shtick is like vitamin C. I just added K at the end, obviously. I'm just kidding. K's great.
I'm just there.
No,
Potassium's
not
good
at
for
all.
you
Not at
too.
all.
Oh man, I'm trying to think then. So with you guys, are you more so on the competitive or casual side to speedrunning, or is it just that you wanted to join a Monster Hunter related event? I'm curious what got you guys here.
Do you want to answer first, K, or do you want me to answer?
Well, I personally have speedrun, not like competitively, but just for like personal, times. And then I think the origin of us entering these tournaments was more so kind of a spur of the moment thing. So I remember the first time around, I think Citrus reached out to me and you're like, hey, you want to do this invitational? Because the first one was an invitational. So just out of the blue, she was like, you want to do this? And I was like, sure, why not? And then the rest is history.
So I've actually never done a Monster Hunter speedrun. I play Monster Hunter very casually, like open lobbies with communities and playing with friends and whatnot. But then when I saw like Knight talking about this invitational, I was like, okay, sure, I'll give it a go. Like, I watched other people speedrun. I've never done it before. I was like, okay, let's give it a try. So I was like, hey, yo, well, I didn't really give him a choice. I was like, hey, we're gonna do this. And he's like, oh, okay. And then I started to like learn how to like be more professional, like think a lot more like logically about speedrunning and like how to kind of like really min-max it, which is actually pretty cool. Like I've never like done that before. So it was like a very interesting take as opposed to like me normally just going like bang, bang, bop, like with like no thoughts, head empty. And this was like, okay, I gotta hit him here, and then I gotta hit him there, and then I gotta switch to this, and I gotta do that. Like, it's fun. It's been really fun. I'm no
You
professional,
picked up new
but like,
weapons because of it.
yeah, I've literally picked up a new weapon every single CGS. Like, so it's like in a good way forced me to like learn other weapons and also like how to read monsters better. It's been super fun. I wouldn't say I'm a professional, but like I have fun with it. So
It's all that matters in the end. We all just love the game, so I don't think it has to be fully dedicated speedrunners to really enjoy this event, and the self-improvement is what matters more. But kind of adding on to that then, I'm kind of curious, since one, maybe has more experience with speedrunning than the other, which one of you guys is more so, I guess, the risk taker, or the one that's kind of more instinctual, just going for what feels right? Or is there someone that like plans anything and like, okay, no, I gotta follow this script, when he does this attack, I'm gonna punish that,
practicing last night. We had already agreed on a set of weapons for like most of the quests.
no,
And then
hold on, wait, Kay, hold on a second. We agreed on a set of weapons. Who between the both of us did not adhere to the agreement? I'm the planner, by
And
the
I was
way.
like, this gun lance looks interesting. Let's try it. This hammer looks pretty cool. Let's take it for a spin.
But here's the twist. He doesn't tell me until after we entered the arena. And I'm like, okay, you're running this, right? He's like, oh, actually, I picked gun lance. And I was like, we had a plan.
It worked out.
Don't worry about
Worked
it.
out in the end.
Yesterday, we had a practice yesterday where I was running light bow gun. And I was like, okay, here's the plan. Like, I'm going to set up the sleep ammo, and then I'm going to set my bombs down. And then you can like set the bombs off so we get like ultimate damage. He completely negated
In
all of
my
that.
defense, I forgot how slow the hunting horn was.
He negated all
hoping to get
that, and I
something
was
before
like,
he fell asleep.
I was like, hey, like we literally had a plan. I told you, we had witnesses. They were like, hey, the plan, and I was like, hey, the plan.
It's better to screw up now than the day of. You know
So-
what not to do now.
So TLD. Wait, I guess Kay, are you the risk taker or like between the both of us?
I could be.
I'm the planner. Does Kay listen?
I mean, she's better at planning in general, so.
Which is funny because I'm not the one with experience, right? But like, I gotta nail it down, you know?
Following up on that, then what happens when the plan doesn't go accordingly? Do you guys just wing it? Do you try to make it work based on like the weapons that you do have, or at least someone goes with what's comfortable? Like, what happens in the heat of the moment?
Like, so a lot of quests have longsword in them, and in my personal opinion, longsword has probably the highest skill ceiling, which translates to highest potential and damage. So like, I figured I'd try to go with that, but my ability in longsword isn't that great. So there are moments where I do okay, and there are moments where I suck. And then on the flip side, there's like weapons I'm more comfortable with, like no thoughts head emptying, such as insect glaive or dual blades. So like the big concern for me is like picking which one to do the day of.
Do you have anything, Citrus?
Say like in the moment, like sometimes we've had runs where things go super swimmingly well, like nothing goes wrong, like we're kind of like synchronized, like we're pretty much dancing around this monster. And then the few practices we had where it's like completely out of nowhere, the monster's like super hyper aggro, like we kind of just talk it through, and then we're like, okay, let's deviate here, or like, oh, let's just do this. But in the end, we kind of end up going with what's comfortable for both of us, which happens to synchronize together anyway. So I guess like it kind of works out for both of us in the end.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think for every quest except maybe one, we have the ideal loadout.
As long as things go right.
But kind of following up on that, you said about ideal loadout. When it comes to the quests themselves, do you guys strictly just go for what's your most comfortable weapon, or do you decide maybe based on loadouts or the skills that come with it?
Sorry, I remember looking at the Discord. I remember looking at the Discord, and the modders mentioned that they did spend like an adequate amount of time balancing weapons. So, for example, there's one quest that has bow in it. I'm not gonna name it just to avoid spoilers, but it has a bow in it, and like I'm a bow main in Rise, so I thought it would go pretty well. And then it turns out this monster is a gold crown monster for one. So when I was practicing by myself, I just couldn't get out of the way because wherever I go, I get hit because he's so freaking large. So instead, I end up going lance instead, which like I'm not as good at, but the loadout that was given to me for lance was much more comfy than bow.
Hey, I'm a hunting horn main, but like for the speed runnings, I've realized like hunting horn like may not always like be the best to go for. So this is where I started like kind of like forcing myself to use different weapons and like learning different weapons. Like I picked up a weapon for this CGS specifically, as I picked up new weapons for every CGS in the past. So like I end up like kind of like going out of my comfort zone, because even though I know like, okay, this weapon, I'm like the best at this weapon, like I try to think about like this other weapon, however, is a lot more efficient, and I can be much more of a bigger support to Kay, who might be up in the front lines, or if he's like supporting from the back, for example. So I end up going with like what I think would be the most efficient for speedrunning per se, and not necessarily like my favorite weapon.
Not just like speedrunning, but our team dynamic too.
Yeah, because sometimes you gotta complement, your partner's gonna go with something else, you gotta sort of fall back on something else, maybe both go range or something else. I feel you on that. But when it comes to the quests themselves, weapons aside, everybody has monsters that drives them absolutely nuts. Do you guys have any that you consider the bane of your existence when it comes to doing these? It's like, okay, no matter what quest you do, this one's always gonna suck.
This or in general?
Wait, what was that?
For like this CGS, or like in general, like what monsters are like the greatest?
No, I would. We could keep it to the CGS.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it could let people know, like, oh, this is gonna be a rough one.
Well, I don't know. Kay, do you want to answer, or do you want me to answer? Because I think we both have the same
Because when I told her
sentiment.
the first like when I first like told her the monsters and Amatsu was still in it.
Oh,
You're like, oh god, no Amatsu.
I was like, oh my god, Kay, I'm gonna drop out. I was like, I can't fight Amatsu. I can't let alone speedrun Amatsu. I was like, I'm dropping out. Like, this is horrible. Like, but then later when I downloaded like the quests themselves, well, wait, is this spoilers? I don't know, because it said the quest said it was a Kelby, and I was like, oh, that's fun. That's nice of them. And then I clicked into it, and I was like, oh no, never mind. Like, I spoke way too soon. Like, this was not nice of them. But yeah, we're glad that, you know, Amatsu's like out of the picture. But right now, I think we've been having more trouble with Lucid Nargacuga, just because the weapon,
the two ones are Astalos and Lucent.
Yeah, the master rank ones. Like, Astalos is one of my favorite monsters, but definitely fighting on master rank with like a loadout that you're not super familiar with can definitely be a challenge. And then the same goes for Lucid Nargacuga. So I think we've been having the more difficulties there than compared.
It's also the nature
to
of that
other...
Lucent quest, because it almost entices you to go heroics until you die.
God, I can only imagine.
You should join next time. You don't have to imagine, just join.
Maybe, though I kind of do like being on the other side of things for sure, which I guess in that case I can't participate, but unrelated. But maybe someday. I've thought about it. Is there anything in particular you guys are trying to sort of fine tune at the moment? Like maybe is there sort of like a weapon setup or something that you guys are like maybe 85% of the way there, but you still got to tweak a little bit? I'm just curious if you guys are doing anything the next few days, practice-wise.
I mean, so I mentioned before, there are situations where I would prefer to go longsword. It's either that I'm not familiar enough with the matchup, or the loadout is not something I'm accustomed to. So to reach that like high level flow state is a little more difficult to me, even though I would believe that it would probably perform better if I did. But like otherwise, I think the quests were arranged so that I did have at least a weapon to fall back onto.
Quests are super nice where the weapons are like very like friendly to use. Like I didn't feel like, oh, like I have to pick up a secondary new weapon just to figure it out. I would say in terms of fine tuning, like obviously not all of our runs are going to be perfect. But for the most part, I would say we're about like 80-90% there. We just have to hopefully fit in some time to polish it as best as we can. One thing we could definitely work on, Kay, I'm looking at you, is some of the quests, like instead of putting you in an arena, you have to like run around in like an actual map, and you have to find like spirit birds. And now we're kind of like, we've been discussing like, do we focus on trying to get spirit birds so we like buff ourselves up before it, or do we shave off a couple minutes and just go straight into the fight, glass cannon style? But then like Kay, I'll be like, okay, Kay, let's go here, and he'd be like, oh, I'm already over here, and I'm like, which spirit birds did you get? He's like, oh, I went there, and I was like, where is there? Like, I don't know what that is. Like,
here's another funny story actually. So when we were practicing last night for that Astalos quest, it was in the jungle, right? Turns out we learned that Citrus didn't get all the great wire bugs. And at the same time, she didn't have any in stock, so we had to spend like maybe 10 minutes trying to take a picture of Daimyo Hermitaur's claws to get more great wire bugs.
I went full National Geographic. Like I was like, I'm not cut out for this, and I was like, are his claws up? And like Kay's getting juggled over there, and I'm like, are his claws up? Like we're just trying to get these wire bugs. Like, so maybe the comms, Kay. I mean, not Kay. I don't know. I'm not trying to point fingers here, but.
Oh, no worries. We'll get it smoothed out. You have my word.
I think we kind of have to. I mean, the competition's literally like in a couple days.
Yeah, a little bit of time left. I'm curious too, just in a general sense, speedrunning or no, if you guys are still like on the casual side of things, what made you, I guess, get hooked on the series? Was it just more so playing with friends? Was it seeing all the kinds of crazy stuff that the competitive scene and speedrunning community can do? Was it just online? Because I know World, took over when that came out. That was a huge deal for the community. I'm just curious, what made you guys, really get hooked on the series in general?
Long story for this one. I don't know if Kay, do you want to go first? Okay, so for me, I'm actually fairly new to Monster Hunter in like the grand scheme of things. Like my very first Monster Hunter game was Rise. So like I had just started. I was very new to streaming, like 2 years ago, almost 3 now. And everyone was like talking about, like people in my community at the time were talking about Monster Hunter Rise because it had just come out with Sunbreak. And I was like, oh, what's this? Like, I've never played this before. And I was like, oh, should I play it? And then like someone gifted it to me, and I had no idea how to play this game at all. I was so confused. I was like, I don't get it. Like, what am I doing here? Like I don't understand any of the loadouts. I don't understand how to use any of these weapons. Like, it's a lot. It was very overwhelming. But I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm gonna like push through this because the community was so helpful. Like, I was so fresh. I was so green to like Monster Hunter. Like, everyone was super helpful. Like, everyone was so nice. Like, they were explaining things to me. They were telling me like, oh, this is like what you should do. Like, and then that's how I fell down that like rabbit hole. Very gladly fell down that rabbit hole. And that's how I actually met most of my Twitch friends. That's how I met Kay. I met Kay through Monster Hunter because he had raided me. And like, now he's like one of like my IRL besties, like pretty much. And that's how I met Knight also, and like so many other people in like within like the Capcom creators, because I joined Capcom creators. Like, so I met a lot of people through Monster Hunter just because like I just randomly decided to pick up this game, and like now it's like the rest is history. Now I'm like completely hooked. Played World, played GU, like went back and like played some of the other games also, and now I'm like obsessed. Like
Oh, what about you, Kay? Do you got anything?
So before my first like legit entry was in World, I had actually played Monster Hunter Tri for the Wii U and also Monster Hunter GU. The thing is, I didn't know what I was doing back then, so I played them both for maybe like no more than 5 hours each. And then I put them down. It's funny because I saw a Twitter post like, you don't get into Monster Hunter until your third time around. So then when World came around, my old college roommates wanted to play together. So we played up until, I think, it was either Valhazak or Black Veil, one of those. It might have been the first one, because I distinctly remember us getting completely walled there because we didn't know miasma resist was a thing. And then around that time, they stopped playing because I think life just got busy. And then I ended up continuing to play. And around that time, I also decided to start streaming then, because I was like smack in the middle of COVID. So that was my introduction to like the World community. And that was when around the time when Safi Jiva had just come out. So like everyone was in lobbies like trying to farm the thing, you know? So that was just like the huge boost to the whole community aspects. And I met a whole bunch of met a lot of like OG Monster Hunter friends, and then it just like branched out into like the greater like Monster Hunter Twitch scene, and then Rise came out and everything else is history.
Solidarity with that too, because I started with 3U. It took me a while. The only thing that kept me going was friends that I could play online with. Just knowing that they were committed, it's like, okay, I'll muscle through this. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but yeah, it takes a while, you know. For sure.
I was very spoiled with Rise because I went backwards and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so clunky. Not to say it's not enjoyable.
GU, it's like you have to stand and place the drink potion. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm a classic
loading
lover.
Screens and maps. Wow.
I'm too ingrained. I just love that jank. I love the limitations. Something about it. Yeah, I guess. Is there? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna be like, hey, I can't believe you didn't mention meeting me because like clearly I'm like the best part of Monster Hunter.
You already mentioned us. I didn't have to do it twice.
I mean, I don't gotta say what you already know. Let's be real. But no, I'm curious for you guys when it comes to playing the game casually versus trying to prepare for this event. Do you guys feel like you're playing the game completely differently? Are you too used to maybe the items that you can just go all in on a regular hunt, and now you just have to, you know, work within the limitations? Is it, I guess, does it make you play completely differently than you normally would?
I think so, just because like all of my sets have some combination of, I forgot what the skills are. I think it's like Berserk Strife, where you basically get infinite stamina and you can't die, essentially. So going from that to the arena quest was definitely very jarring. And I think in terms of our like overall speedrunning game plan is that we didn't really have time to, you know, script out stuff like speedrunners would do. So I feel like for the most part, and this has been a trend with all of our like CGS tournaments, we're just trying to, you know, play to the best of our ability.
I would say I definitely play a lot differently because when I normally like casually play Monster Hunter, I'm like no, I turn my brain off. I'm like here to just like turn my brain
Same.
off, like bonk bonk, like play some melodies, dude over there, like. But like when I do like the CGS, I'm kind of like more like focused. Like I'm like locked in. I'm like, okay, like I gotta be careful about how much damage I could take, like because that takes time. Like that's like seconds that could be very precious. I gotta think about like my positioning, like my footing a lot more. So like, and I also have to focus a lot more on like predicting like how the monster's gonna move. So I think for me, like I definitely have to focus a little bit more. Not in like a bad way. I think it's cool because like it allows me to like approach the game differently. But I definitely like it's very different than how I normally play because I just like to turn my brain off when I play normally. But here I'm like focused. I'm like, okay, like monster's gonna do this, and like I gotta position myself over here, or like, oh, we have limited items, like, oh, our loadouts are like not what I'm maybe used to. So I would say I play a lot differently.
The biggest factor I think was the arrangement of switch skills in the weapons. Since these are custom quests designed by the talented modding team, I think in part of their efforts to balance, a lot of the weapons had a certain arrangement of switch skills that I wasn't normally accustomed to, that I wouldn't personally take. So it was definitely a learning curve to get used to those.
I forgot we had switch skills in mastering because like this is like our first I think this is like our first mastering like
the first one we made it to.
Quest? Did we?
Because the invitational had something.
Oh, that's right. Well, I completely forgot like switch skills were a thing because like I had gone back to World recently, so I was on that World brain, and I was like, oh wait, we have switch skills. Like I gotta use these. Like.
Yeah, and I was kind of that same hat when Wilds got announced. It's like, let me go back to World a little bit. Just feels right, A lot of people did that. I got I'd say last two questions. So, general one, kind of with Wilds. Do you guys have any favorite monsters you guys always look forward to, no matter the game? Because every time a new Monster Hunter game gets announced, I'm praying, let's say it's like my favorites, like Brachydios, or it's kind of funny saying this out loud. I'm hoping Nargacuga comes back, even though it's almost a shoo-in. It's just still one of my favorites for personal memories. It was my wall, in 3U, so I'm attached to it. But do you guys have any favorites?
I don't know, Kate, do you want to go
I'm
first?
hoping for, I have multiple. My favorite monster by design is Nergigante. It's because he's a good boy, he eats his own spikes and he's like a cat or a dog or something. And I figure since they brought back Volcano for Rise, they might turn to Nergigante for Wild, so copium, fingers crossed.
For me, I really like Zinogre because he's like a thunder puppy, but I know Zinogre's like a complete like a complete favorite for like a lot of, I think most of the Monster Hunter community. I think the popularity contest revealed Zinogre as number 1, but I also really want some of like the GU monsters back. Like I think Zamtrios. My first time fighting Zamtrios, I had no idea what to expect. Like I was like going in, I was like, oh, it's cool, it's a little shark guy, and then he like inflated, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Like, and it was just like such a funny experience for me personally that like I was like, oh, okay, I really like Zamtrios a lot. Like, and I hope I would like to hope that they bring back some of like the older monsters also that I had a lot of fun fighting in GU into Wilds, because I think there's just a lot of potential there.
There's a rumor that Gammoth might be coming out.
Gammoth was cute too.
Oh my god, it's overdue. Yeah.
When I did like the tiny Gammoth quest, I thought that was in GU. I thought that was super funny. Also, I just was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, no, I love when they do some of the gimmick hunts like that. Though it's so funny. I don't know what order these are going to be played at the time of the event, but Waifu-chan also said Zamtrios when I interviewed them for what monsters they want to come back. So now that's 2 that needs to make it happen. Here's
it has to. How could they not?
It's a really fun one. I can't deny it. The last general question, though, is more so leaving it open to you guys. Is there anything you would like to, I guess, let the chat know outside of the game itself? What you guys do, something you wish people knew. Like, let's say they're tuning in and they don't know, what you guys are into outside of this stuff. Basically, social media plug if you'd like to. What are you about? Really?
Am I about? I don't know. It's like an identity crisis right there.
You wear a lot of onesies.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of funsies, a lot of onesies.
Cute cats.
I do have cats. This is true. What else? I don't know. I feel like I'm not, sorry guys. I'm not presenting myself very well right now.
was like,
I
tell us
play a
about
lot.
yourself.
Oh, I know. It's like, oh no, who am I? I don't know. I would say I'm mostly variety with like a focus on Monster Hunter, but honestly, kind of just depends on like what I'm feeling in the moment. Like here for good vibes, good times, and I wear a onesie. I have 20 plus onesies, so I'm always in a different one. What else do I do? I don't know. Okay, what else do I do? I talk a lot. I'm a certified talker.
You are a certified talker.
Professional talker.
Professional talker. So if anyone wants to come by and yap with me, I'm more than happy to.
Anything for you,
Kay?
Kaya?
Besides Monster Hunter, I typically do a lot of single player games, mostly Souls-likes, Metroidvanias, secretly, not so secretly, a Nintendo fanboy, also Sonic. I also do digital art. Been getting back into that recently. Outside of stream, I like photography. I've been practicing a lot of kickboxing. I actually just got hired as an instructor, so that's been taking up most of my life recently. And yeah, that's mostly me.
One thing I want to add, actually, for people who are watching, I just want to point out that I am a testament to someone who is a very casual Monster Hunter player, that anyone can learn how to speedrun. Like, that's like the thing. And I want people to understand that they can join these CGS tourneys, even though like they're like, oh, I'm not a speedrunner. Oh, I don't know how to speedrun. I didn't either. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. And it is something you can learn, and it is something you can have fun with. So I really encourage everybody to like, just give it a try, right? Like, it doesn't hurt to try, and at least you can say you've done it. But I am a testament, like, to say, like, I may not be a professional speedrunner, but I've definitely picked up the skills. And if I can pick it up, anyone else could definitely can. So just want to encourage people
I give us like sometimes a nickname of the non-speedrunning speedrunners.
Yeah, I say
this is our
we're
third time.
cosplaying.
This is our third time in this like tournament series. So, you know, I also encourage everyone to, for the future events, I encourage you to, you know, give it a shot. Just like try it out, because you never know.
Yeah, and like just have fun with it in the end. Like in the end, like Hay and I are like, we're here to like have fun with it. So show our support for the CGS and also like our love for Monster Hunter. And I know there's so many people out there who love Monster Hunter that like I really encourage like people just give it a go. Like you never know, right? Like just have fun with it. And I think in the end that's like what's more important for us at least.
No, I agree. Honestly, it's a very good point, because I feel like people might think that everybody is going to be a speedrunner and it's going to be like professional high level play. It's like it's never been that restriction, you know. Anybody can join if they really want to. The only thing in common is that everybody loves the games, you know. That's all there is to it. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it. Just wanted to give thanks once again to Vitamin CK for joining us. You guys have been fantastic. Absolutely rooting for you guys. I know you're gonna kill it, and if you don't, you're gonna have fun doing it. That much I guarantee, just from interviewing you guys. But
Thanks for having us.
yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. I will take it back to the commentators. You guys have a good one, and take care.
And